Bismillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam wa ba'd. Concerning the brother's question, to make it short and brief, that the Muslim should be careful in declaring his brother or sister to be a heretic. The Khawarij are a heretical or ideology, that is, their ideology that is deviated. So the Muslim should be very careful declaring his brother or sister to become a deviant. Somebody, for example, because of ignorance or misunderstanding, may agree or say a statement which they may not understand the ramifications of. So we as Muslims should be careful. That is, if you hear your brother or sister espousing the ideology of a particular group or particular people, what you should do is take them to somebody of knowledge who could unpack what they are saying. You know, if they believe the rulers to be, for example, kuffar, can unpack this whole statement and what the ramifications are of it, to engage in a discussion with them, rather than yourself taking on board a conversation where you are not armed for it. Somebody who hasn't been studying or grounded in Islamic theology discussing these issues is like the person who goes to a gunfight with a knife. So they should be careful. They should take the person to a person of knowledge, and also, understand that people grow up in a Western environment are susceptible to different types of thoughts and ideologies, which they may even think are Islamic. So you may declare somebody to be an innovator or a heretic when they feel what they're doing is the Sunnah and it's correct. So in essence, what you should do is take that person to somebody of knowledge who can clarify it for them, and be very careful in your judgment, because your judgment of somebody being Khariji means that you believe that person is in the hellfire. The Prophet says, the Prophet said that this ummah are split into 73 sects, all of them in the hellfire. And what you're saying is somebody's Khariji, they're from the Khawarij, they're going to the hellfire. It's a heavy, heavy thing to say. So I hope that answers the question. Does that answer, inshallah?
Okay, pertaining brother Musa, this question. Me personally, and I'm going to inshallah ta'ala break the question down into two. I personally don't think there is a need for the people to use social media like Facebook, like Instagram, Snapchat and these kind of things. But we have to be very, very realistic. We have to be very realistic now. Whatever a sheikh says, no matter what a sheikh says, you're not going to find the majority of the ummah leaving Facebook, leaving all of these social media. Do you think that all of these Muslims that are on Facebook, if someone says something today, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 people are going to leave Facebook? So you have to be very, very realistic. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there isn't a thing except that He clarified, وَنَزَّلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ. What was the ayah again where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ بِالْحَقِّ لِتَحْكُمَ بَيْنَ النَّاسِ. And we sent down the book so that you can judge between the people. And Allah says as well, وَأَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ تِبْيَانًا لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ. And we sent down the book as a clarification for everything. So how to handle and how to maybe look at these matters are just within the boundaries of the Sharia. You find that a lot of the time when a person is on these social media, a lot of the time, people, they just narrate whatever they heard without authenticating or without even knowing, is this true? And this goes against under the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said, كَفَى بِالْمَرْءِ كَذِبًا أَنْ يُحَدِّثْ بِكُلِّ مَا سَمِعَ. It is enough for a person to be a liar that he narrates everything he says or everything he hears. And the other thing is, if a person now is on Facebook, and he's using it for benefit, maybe whether it is listening to lectures, whether it is listening to small reminders and things like that, and he basically puts into practice everything we just mentioned in the lecture. Everything we mentioned into the lecture, staying away from these kind of things and just following that which is beneficial for him, because the reality is you can't get everyone off there anyway. Then it is something that the person can do, but the reality is, wallahi, me personally think I don't think that these kind of things should be used. I used to have an actual Facebook account. But when I seen so much time wasting and so much people, they just post their stuff, some haramat and things like that, are posted on there, I asked the brother to maybe just change it into a page so the benefits can be put on there and the people can see and end up. You know, but from that angle, you know, I hope that answers the question, inshallah.
Brothers and sisters, if you have a question, please don't be shy. Just ask the question, because at the end of the day we have to log out. So, inshallah, the sister up in the middle, inshallah.
The Prophet mentioned the book Milestones and written by Sayyid Qutb, and I was wondering if the Prophet actually read the book, and if so, could he elaborate for us exactly what the book is about? And also, he discussed the attributes of a Khawarij, and should we, as one Muslim Ummah, should we be publicly pointing at a certain group or sect and saying that they are Khawarij? And also have a comment to make as well regarding the Prophet mentioned that some people are susceptible to certain ideologies and also to certain naivety due to their age. So I also wanted to make the comment that being having a passport and having a Muslim name, being born in this country and working in this country and living in this country your whole life, you can be subjected to, while you're travelling, to what's called a Schedule 7 stop under the Terrorism Act. You can be held for up to 9 hours without any legal representation, without any calls to your family. You can be held with your children, and you can be questioned regarding your faith, your beliefs, the people that you may know or may not know, about issues regarding things in the Middle East which you have no connection to whatsoever. So I was wondering if the brother felt that perhaps, and also in this situation, your social media can also be invaded and searched, and photos can be taken, and everything can be downloaded off any device that you have on you at the time. So I was wondering if the brother felt that perhaps maybe young brothers and sisters were feeling susceptible and targeted in this way, as opposed to perhaps the groups that he mentioned earlier.
First of all, Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. I'd like to thank the sister for her question. I will start with the last statement first. Concerning Schedule 7 and issues around terrorism, I would advise strongly any young person, brother or sister, who feels that there is untoward attention being paid to them and their Facebook account or their movements are being watched, I would say that there are a number of organizations. They need to contact them and to get legal help and legal advice. That is the best way of dealing with this. Allah blessed me a couple months ago. I went to a seminar at Gray's Inn at a solicitor's firm where they spoke in detail about this and about some of the issues concerning Prevent. And there are a number of people who are based in the UK who have knowledge about the law that can advise us concerning that question. Concerning Sayyid Qutb, about his book Milestones, these are some of the quotes that I gave from Sayyid Qutb himself. And if you look at his book on the Quran, his Tafsir al-Fi Dhilal al-Quran, he has made a number of similar statements. And I didn't want to turn today into expounding on Sayyid Qutb and his beliefs, but suffice to say that a number of ulama have spoken about Sayyid Qutb and his beliefs. Him being a laureate, he was a person who was a man of the arts, not an Islamic scholar. He's not known to be an Islamic scholar, nor studied Islam to that depth, but he was a laureate, and in America, changing his opinions and becoming more Islamic, coming back to Egypt. They've been swept away with the movement of his time, which is the Ikhwan Muslimin. And so a person who is not a scholar or grounded in knowledge is very much likely to make mistakes, as Sheikh Al-Albani said, than to be correct, and that's what we see from him. The sister then said about making public his mistakes, I would like to say to you, sister, that he wrote them in a book that was translated by his followers. If you go to Amazon, you can find the book. If you go to Barnes & Noble, you can find the book. If you go to the internet, you can search for milestones. You can find the e-copy of the book. So these mistakes have been made public, and we address them public. If the book wasn't made public, it was something that was hidden away, then there would be no need to address it. However, the book has been made public, and it is a book that has influenced many people. Ayman Zawahiri, the now head of Al-Qaeda, has been influenced by Sayyid Qutb in his writings.